Hello, everyone. My name is Randy Brock, and I'd like to thank you for joining me in my discussion about Porter's competitive strategies. The agenda for this discussion is as follows. We'll cover the overview, talk about Taco Bell, discuss Nickelodeon strategy, then we'll get into Redbox, and lastly, we'll talk about Five Guys. And after discussing all those strategies, I'll then give you some takeaways and then open the floor for any questions. So let us begin. Per Whelan, Hunger, Hoffman, and Bamford, Michael Porter proposed three generic competitive strategies for outperforming other organizations in a particular industry. These are the overall cost leadership, differentiation, and focus. However, these competitive strategies can actually be broken down into four separate entities, such as cost leadership, differentiation focus, cost focus, and differentiation. Now, it's important to note that these strategies are generic because they can be pursued by any type or size of business firm, even by nonprofit organizations. Nevertheless, a strategy is about two things: deciding where you want to go and deciding how you're going to get there. So the first strategy we'll look at is cost leadership, which is demonstrated by Taco Bell. This strategy emphasizes efficiency by producing high volumes of a standardized product. In other words, the product is often basic and produced at a relatively low cost. For Taco Bell, the thought of providing an essential product at a low cost is not something unheard of. Furthermore, what the company did was revise their menu and design meals that were easy to prepare. They increased their management spectrum from one supervisor for 5 stores to one supervisor for 30 stores. They then had the suppliers do the food preparation prior to their delivery to the store. This makes them more efficient than a standalone restaurant. For example, the ground beef was pre-cooked before arrival and then reheated, as were many of the other dishes. Typically, they would arrive in a plastic boil bag, and from there they would just be put in boiling water for a sanitary reheating. So was this strategy useful? Yes, and to this day the company maintains the strategy, which eventually led them to dominate the Hispanic food market. So was there any alternative strategy they could have taken? Yes. They could have taken a differentiation strategy approach that might have created the same outcome. For instance, if the company chose to go with the differentiation strategy, they could remove the items from their menu and solely focus on perfecting tacos and burritos. By doing so, they could then decrease advertisements and let the food sell itself while increasing the food's quality and raise the prices to mirror their operational change. So the next strategy we'll talk about is the differentiation focus strategy, not to be confused with the differentiation strategy. By definition, this strategy is an approach to a competitive advantage in which a company attempts to outperform its rivals by offering a product that is perceived by others as superior of that of their competitors, even though the prices are higher. To do so, overall the company focuses on a narrow market coverage, seeking only to attract a small specialized segment of the population. This is why I chose Nickelodeon for this. They are an excellent example and actually found their blossom when Disney decided to end their contract with a few of their fast food restaurants that acted as a promoter for their movies. Nevertheless, Nickelodeon, a competitor of Disney, took this opportunity to pick up where the company left off swiftly, and it proved to be an optimal move for them. So what did they do? Like I said, they partnered with fast food chains to promote their products, such as the cartoons that they were creating or the movies that were soon to come out. They also designed their cartoons to focus on kids' entertainment but also have adults in mind, such as teaching basic skills, teaching things that society would want them to know, such as, you know, being kind to one another or no bullying. These were all in Nickelodeon's mind when they created their their cartoons and movies. So is this strategy useful? Yes. Nickelodeon grew from this block of local children's programming on a channel that I don't even know of called QB to become a dominant children's television entertainment venue. Nickelodeon can now be seen 24/7, and it has branded retail products and cross platforms into books, movies, videos, and software. As of 2001, the audience was reported to be as high as 300 million children worldwide, reaching more than 70% of those children being a U.S. audience. Nickelodeon reflects the growing market specialization of children's television, but the channel's corporate evolution also reflects many of the changes in the media industry. So could another alternative strategy work? I say no. The bread and butter of Nickelodeon's success is that they focus heavily on a specific audience, making the differentiation focus strategy a perfect fit. If they were to make a generic content towards all audiences, they would just be like the other television companies that you see on TV today. As far as cost goes, television shows and movies have steadily progressed since the stick figure or the drawings of cartoons. Therefore, decreasing the budget on these types of designs will ultimately hinder the audience and make them not want to watch it. The next strategy we're going to talk about is cost focus, which is represented by Redbox Rentals. In summary, cost focus refers to an organization that seeks to develop a lower cost advantage, but only within a small market segment. These products would generally be primary and vaguely similar to the average market-leading products. For Redbox, they offer movies, usually brand new, and during the pandemic, they have also offered movies that have not hit theaters yet at $1 per night rate. That is very convenient and very affordable for most people. Additionally, these kiosks are in highly trafficked areas, which means they're convenient. They adapt to the market very easily, and they're very simplistic to use. As a strategy to advertise, each kiosk usually has a list of movies with their picture on it and the movies that are soon to come out. This allows a passerby to maybe glance at the screen, see what's out there, and probably partake in the service. In fact, Redbox kiosks have been so conveniently placed and been known for the simplicity that it is estimated at 70 to 80 transactions per second nationwide are occurring on the average Friday or Saturday. So, does this strategy work? I would surely say so. Redbox today has become a market leader, only second to Netflix, in the video rental industry by combining two fast-paced, consumer-driven distribution strategies, which are direct online ordering and self-service kiosks. But you cannot forget about their low-cost rentals per night. So will an alternative strategy work? No, Netflix has cornered the market. For instance, not only does Netflix offer content at a fraction of the cost compared to Redbox due to its monthly subscription, they also have been practicing a hybrid of differentiation and differentiation-focused strategies by producing their own highly defined content for specific groups. So this is where the confusion comes in between differentiation-focused and differentiation. Well, the definition for differentiation is when a firm seeks to be unique in its industry, along with some dimensions that are widely valued by buyers. It selects one or more attributes to focus on so that the buyers perceive it as important and unique. Five Guys is a great example of this. Now, of course, people can argue that McDonald's and Burger King have perfected the hamburger, but if you look closely at their operations, their concept is to provide a meal at a reasonable price, which then attracts more customers. But Five Guys is different. They focus on making the absolute best burger and the absolute best fries. Because of this quality and attention to detail, they can then charge more, sometimes much more, than any of its competitors. This also means that they can provide a more straightforward menu, simplify their logistics, create minimal staff training, and also create a simpler marketing strategy. So does the strategy work? Yes. Overall, Five Guys' business model has made them the most famous American fast casual burger and fries restaurant chain. The company had always stayed away from the traditional marketing, so there was not much giveaway with their strategy in that. In addition to that, they opted to actually spend the money on the food and employee bonuses. So is there an alternative strategy that Five Guys could have taken? The question is up in the air. It's difficult to say if another strategy would be beneficial considering the other food chains, specifically fast food chains, have already been practicing the pursuit of these other strategies for decades now. Therefore, if Five Guys were to pursue cost-focused strategies, they would no longer have a unique factor that set them apart from others. So the time it takes to make a burger at Five Guys, the customer will probably be upset and just would rather go to a fast food restaurant where they would get the same quality of a burger. Now it's time for the takeaways. Michael Porter proposed three generic competitive strategies that can be broken down into four categories to outperform other organizations in the industry. These strategies are cost leadership, differentiation focus, cost focus, and differentiation strategy. Think of it as a four squared box. The next takeaway deals with the risk in these type of strategies. No one competitive strategy is guaranteed to achieve success, and some companies that have successfully implemented one of these strategies have found that they cannot sustain it for very long. Therefore, each of these generic strategies has risk, and not everybody can be as fortunate. Nevertheless, the next takeaway is about the issues. Porter argues that to be successful, a company or business must achieve one of the previously mentioned generic competitive strategies. Otherwise, the company or business will be stuck in the middle of a competitive market with no advantage, and therefore being doomed to below average performance. For the last takeaway, it is not recommended to adopt all the strategies. Porter stressed this a lot. The idea of only one strategy should be adopted by a firm and failure to do so will result in a stuck in the middle scenario. He discussed this idea that practicing more than one strategy will lose the organization's entire focus. Hence, the precise direction of the future trajectory could not be established. And that concludes my presentation. So at this time, I would like to open the floor for any questions you may have. And if there are no questions, I would like to thank you for your time.